Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the altcoins, not Bitcoin, just the altcoins. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so first, a couple of things I wanted to show you guys. I forgot to actually do this in the previous video, just so you guys can see for yourself. But because in the previous video we talked about the Bitcoin miners, so we do actually have Bitcoin miners. Okay, so currently have 700 shares of BTBT, and I actually did not mean to click on that. So lots and lots of options here, as you guys can see. But so as of right now, 300 shares of HUD 8, which is in profit. BTBT, which is also in profit, but we have leaps on this one. We also have Riot 100 shares and Mara 100 shares and 300 shares of CLSK. CLSK currently valued at about $7,000. We also have one put on Mara, as you guys can see right here. The rest are calls. And in terms of native cryptocurrencies, so at the peak of this thing, the value of the crypto that we held was roughly about 16,000. As of right now, it's currently, unfortunately, roughly about half that. I mean, it sucks, but is what it is. Um, it's actually not quite half because again, we did sell Bitcoin, so there was that. The reason I want to state that, and I know we're not actually supposed to go over Bitcoin today, but I just want to say this real quick. So if Bitcoin's chopping sideways, we're about to get spot Ether ETFs. Again, Bitcoin chopping sideways at the all-time highs. We're about to get spot Ether ETFs, and the Bitcoin dominance is about ready to sell off. In theory, when the Bitcoin dominance does sell off, this leads to an altcoin season. So, with that being said, we are planning on putting $1,000 a month in starting July 1st going forward, and of course still 2,000 or so a month into dividend paying stocks and options because we want to keep a split approach because kind of the the macroeconomic outlook and uh, various other factors. So we have a specific reason for taking on the kind of approach to the markets that we currently are taking. So anyways, to get into the holdings, as you guys can see here, going back in history, as you guys can see, we have had some of these altcoins for a long time. We were involved in crypto back in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, as you guys can see here. So the thing about accumulating altcoins during the 2022 bear market was true, as you guys can see on the chart. So Filecoin, AIOZ, Render, Banker, Dash, all of which have been beat down significantly as a result of the recent pullback in Bitcoin and altcoins. Some pretty cheap buys right now, so we're looking at that, and I mean AIOZ is roughly about half where it was. I mean that's a cheap buy in my opinion. So we're definitely going to seriously start picking some up soon. So Dash, Crypto.com, Horizon. Again, Horizon's cut roughly about in half the previous price. Scale, Ethereum, Engine Coin, which is unbelievably dirt cheap right now. Zcash, again, unbelievably dirt cheap. Litecoin. We do also have some Algorand, but it's not on here. And then, of course, we previously had Bitcoin, but we did get rid of it. Here's some of the other altcoins we used to have as well. You guys can see the remaining amounts in them there. So, okay, Ethereum. Ethereum does have a double top here, so that's bearish. Of course, the pullback could be anywhere, pretty much in the between resistance and support. We're actually thinking about picking up Ethereum first before the altcoins. The main reason being is because if the spot Ether ETFs get approved, likely that's going to be the first thing to pop, and then we'll see money flow into altcoins shortly after that. So 2,500 to 2,700 is what you're looking at for support. There could be a pullback before an eventual rip due to the spot Ether ETFs. If there is a pullback from the current price, you guys are looking at roughly about a 30% drop. Again, that's normal in a bull market. Okay, when bull markets happen, there are massive drops. If I just go over here to the price of Bitcoin, you guys can see some of the pullbacks that we've had, even in the current bull market. So 20%. You have another one here from this wick high down to the bottom. Again, 21%. I mean, you guys kind of get the idea here. It's very normal for crypto. People that have been in crypto for a long time get used to this kind of volatility. But again, there's about $1,000 difference between the current price and the potential bottom here. We do have a tweezer bottom here, which is bullish. I just don't like the fact that this candle is still red. I'd like to see it turn green before the end of the week to confirm a red to green move with basically a tweezer bottom as double bullish confirmation. Ethereum, we would DCA down if we were going to buy this one. We wouldn't just bulk buy at these current prices. We'd kind of have a strategy in place. So Litecoin, so this was previous resistance. Again, we actually do like Litecoin a lot. Had a massive amount of Litecoin in the previous bull market. I think like 40 or 50 Litecoin. So it's looking like it's going to pull back into support. Again, that would not surprise me if the spot Ether ETFs take until the end of the year, let's say. Again, I think it's going to be July that we're going to see the listings, but if it for some reason it takes 6 more months, well, okay, that's just more time to accumulate. Litecoin's probably going to pull back into support. So support, you can see the prices here, 58 to 65. The target we're looking for is roughly about $80 and then all the way up at 105. So if I were just to measure, let's say in the middle at 60, because again, it's impossible to time the bottom or the top perfectly. So 30% move to the first target and then about a 70% move to the second one. So not quite double your money, but still pretty good. I'm going to skip on the synthetics, although I would say at this point it looks like a buy. It was very expensive for a long time. Now it's actually looking quite cheap. But since we don't own that one, we're not going to talk about it. So AIOZ, this thing did have what looked to be like some kind of bull flag, but unfortunately has broken down. Again, that's a low probability scenario, but it happens. So it's currently sitting at support. You guys can see it got held down here before, and when it broke out big. When it got held down by the bears, it sold off big. So clearly it's a very key point. Again, the RSI is still quite overbought, so there's a chance it could even maybe come down to the red EMA before getting a bounce, so maybe 40 cents. The bottom here, as you guys can see, is 33 cents. So pick your entry point. Again, that's not financial advice, but if you're looking to buy this, 33 to 50 cents is roughly going to be about your target. So the actual profit target would be somewhere around, I would say somewhere around 95 cents to $1. Again, the swing high is at $1.05. So even from the current price, it's still looking like roughly about a 2x, so 118% gain to get all the way back up to the wick high. If it pulls back down to 33 cents, 203% gain. Again, it's impossible to time these things perfectly, so if you got somewhere in the middle, you'd be looking at 150%. So the other way you could get your cost basis down to the bottom of the support is if the price does actually go lower than that, like down here, this 12-cent mark. Again, I don't think it's going to go that low. There's just too many things lining up, in my opinion, that tells me that we are likely closer to a major alt season than we are further away. Again, everything's lining up exactly like I would expect it to just right before we have a massive bullish alt season. So Algorand, this one unfortunately did dump below support, so likely it probably will come back back down to 8 to 10 cents. That's a good buying opportunity. That's going to be roughly about a 50% drop even from the current price. So just be prepared for that. Again, the targets here, first target is going to be about 16 cents. Second target is going to be about 29 cents. I think our average is like 33 cents. But again, if we take a look at the overall picture here, Algorand's all-time high is absolutely ridiculous. So it's nearly 10x the current cost basis that we have. So that's just something to keep in mind. And when I say an alt season, I'm not talking like a major alt season. I'm not talking like these things go up 10, 20%. I'm talking they go up hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of percent. Okay, we're talking 10, 20, 50, 100x's here. We're not talking tiny moves. We're not talking stock market moves. Stock market returns are fine. But crypto is crypto for a reason, okay? So first target, we'll say from the middle of support, is going to be about that 16, 17 cent range. So that's 80%. Second target is going to be all the way up at roughly about 30 cents, so 224% move. We'll just do Bcash just for the fun of it because, BCHG, right? Okay, so unfortunately, it has gotten down below kind of this structural level here. So big breakout candle, it came back, retest. We had this kind of triple tweezer bottom here, blasted off to the upside, and unfortunately we did not hold it. So again, you guys can kind of see these tops here, so you can see why it's an important level. Maybe it bounces off these candle tops, so 380 could be support, but if it does get below that, then likely it's probably going to bounce I would say probably somewhere between roughly about 250 to 350. We'll just go ahead and say it does actually bounce from the current price because, again, that was the bear market swing high before the ultimate capitulation. So if it bounces from the current price, let's say to the first target, which I presume is going to be somewhere around $530, 37% gain. If we get back up to the wick high up here, $700, 86% gain on that one. Okay, so Banker. This one, in my opinion, is still a little bit expensive. Again, we did kind of have this ascending triangle, which typically is a bullish pattern, but sometimes the low probability setup does play out. That just happens. I would say the first bounce point is probably going to likely be at 55 cents. If we get below that, probably somewhere between 33 to 45 cents. So the maximum risk here on Banker Network is about 48%, in my opinion. If you manage to get your average somewhere in the support, the first target would be about 84 cents. That's going to be 118%. And then your second target is probably going to be somewhere around the top of this range. So 98 cents, roughly about 155% move. And we'll go over Crow. So the Crow coin, Crow bird. All right, so I actually like Crow a lot. I think the exchange tokens have a lot of value because, of course, a lot of crypto investors go to exchanges to buy these things, which probably is why Coinbase stock is $250 a share right now, right? Versus the all-time low. If I'm not mistaken, I think Coinbase at the low of the bear market was at $30, so it's done more than an 8x since the low. So it just goes to show you the value of the exchanges. So again, we're kind of looking for a bullish breakout here. Haven't really gotten it yet. Theoretically, we want to see this breakout while it's testing the EMAs. And it's below the EMAs. So maybe it goes down to 7 cents, maybe somewhere between 4 to 5 cents. Again, that would not shock me at all. During the mid-2021 I would say it was like a mid-cycle pullback. It's not necessarily a bear market because we did have a higher high after that, but it was a 55% pullback on Bitcoin, and altcoins went down about 70%. So if there is going to be anything like that, again, which I don't think is likely, the maximum risk here would be about 50%, again, pulling us all the way back to the bear market lows here. But let's just assume you managed to somehow get a steal of a deal here at 5 cents. The target you'd be looking at, the first one, is 13 cents. Again, that's 150% gain from about the middle of that support, and the second target, 18 cents, is about 247%. So Dash, this one is looking extremely dirt cheap right now. I'm actually quite shocked that we got a wick low here, as you guys can see below these bear market lows. That is a little shocking, I'm not going to lie, because as you guys can see, this was pretty much Bitcoin's low right here in November, and we did actually get lower than that, which indicates that, in my opinion, a lot of these altcoins are still massively undervalued. We have not seen a real altcoin season, because if we had, these things would have went a lot higher than what they did. So in terms of buying opportunities, I mean, this is pretty much as close as it's going to get to the ideal entry point, highest reward, lowest risk. So first target we're looking at here is $35. Second target's going to be about 44.25. So first target move from the bottom, 48%. Second target move all the way to the swing high, roughly about 88%. If I go over everybody's favorite here, Dogecoin, the dog coin, coin of the dog. So this was support, but unfortunately the poor Doge kind of got smashy-toed. So it looks like we might be coming back to test support. So support, again, is between 9 to 11 cents. Two targets, I'd say about 18 cents, and the high up at 23 cents is what we'd be looking at. Again, just goes to show how massively undervalued this is. So from the current price to the swing high, you'd be looking at about 86% move. If you manage to get it somewhere around 10 cents, let's say, first target, 62%. Second target is going to be all the way at 125% move. Okay, so next one, Filecoin. This is actually the largest holding we have. Again, Part of the reason we are so bullish on Filecoin is because the DPIN narrative, but also at the same time, I mean, this thing has just not really done much of anything. I think this is going to be a late bloomer, in my opinion, and when it does, it's going to move massively. As you guys can see, the high was all the way up here at $240. So, I mean, this thing from the current price, if it just gets back to all-time highs, will do a 60x or a 6,000% gain. You can see your bear market lows here. So that's pretty much the bottom of support. So 237 to 320. We have a little bit over $3,000 in this, and our average cost base is 850. So still quite a bit high, but again, very low compared to the bull market highs. So maximum risk here, again, about 48%. I don't know that it goes that low, but let's just assume you managed to pick this up at, let's say, $2.50 or something. I would say the first target is probably going to be somewhere around $7, so 153%, and second target would be all the way up at the wick high, so 351% or 12, roughly about 1240. So Gala, this one's actually quite cheap in my opinion. Again, this is a gaming token. This is a very popular narrative in crypto. So as you guys can see, it's much closer to support than resistance. If I just measure this from the current price to the resistance, which in my opinion is a great trade, you're looking at a 4x. So that'd be a 225% move. Support is going to be roughly about 1 cent to 2 cents. And I know these numbers seem kind of ridiculous, but this is crypto. You guys got to understand a lot of these cryptocurrencies are not even valued at $100. But again, the smaller the market cap, the bigger the potential gains. So Graph, this is another one that I think we actually got rid of recently, if I'm not mistaken. But we did hold it for a long time. We made quite a bit of money on it. So again, it is currently sitting at support. Support's going to be about 17 to 23 cents. Your target's going to be about 34 cents and 50 cents respectively. If I were just to measure it from the current price to, let's say, the resistance high, 59%, and then the swing high, 133%. This hammer candle right here, if it does close as a hammer candle, especially a green one, is a very clear reversal indication. So this thing could be moving up pretty quick. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. We don't actually currently have mana, so we're not going to cover this one. Although I will say, based on support, for those of you guys that like mana, it's very popular. I'm aware it's a metaverse play. Looking pretty cheap right now. So just kind of a quick overview here. If you were to buy it now and swing it to the high, 146% gain. Again, that's 83 cents. And the all-time high for mana was about $6. So massive upside. Render, this thing is testing kind of the support level. So in my opinion, anywhere between 580 to 750 is a good first entry point. Anything below that, you're looking at maybe like 250 to 360. So how you guys want to go about strategizing for that, that's up to you. So from the current price to the swing high, you're looking at 102% gain. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go over scale. This is another one that we have. So still waiting for a little bit more of a pullback on this one. As long as the Bitcoin dominance is up, these alts are likely to bleed to Bitcoin. That's just the way it goes. But it is another dip buying opportunity. And like I said, the way that things are shaping up on the charts and with the timing of the spot Ether ETFs, I think an altcoin season is literally just right around the corner. Unless the SEC decides to be a jerk and make us wait until December, which could happen, but that would line up perfectly, of course, because Bitcoin should be pushing all-time highs by then. So anyways, the pullback here from the current price to the low at 2 cents could be a pretty swift, pretty big drop, I should say, about 60%. So let's just say you get it at 2.5 cents. Ride this thing up to the previous resistance, 237% gain. That's 8 cents. And the swing high is 13.5 cents, 461% gain. The next one that we hold is Zcash. So this thing is just unbelievably dirt cheap. It's incredible how cheap this is. I mean, this thing actually is lower than it was at the bear market lows, which is kind of crazy. So it's only $20 a token right now. But to give you guys an example, and I'm not saying Zcash is going to do what BNB did, but BNB went from $20 at its lowest to $600. So Think about that for a second. There is potential everywhere in these markets. So support is between $18 to 24, resistance 33 to 36. I mean, it's sitting at the lows. You guys can do what you want with that. That's a perfect entry point in my opinion. So 80% move here. Horizon, this thing has gotten absolutely smashed. But again, I am not surprised. I'm expecting this one to also be kind of a late mover. So this one will likely move later than something like Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Again, I mean, this thing is dirt cheap. It's sitting pretty much at the lows here. So you can see the lows were at 5.5. The top of the range is at 6.75, so 1170 to 1350 as the resistance, and you guys can see that wick high all the way up here at 1860. So even from the current price, it's roughly about a 3x. Yeah, so almost not quite a 3x, but pretty close, about 186% move. But I mean, again, I want to reiterate, like I said before, I don't think we've really had a true alt season. Most of the focus has been on Bitcoin. I think alts have yet to actually have their big, serious main event, mega move. You guys can see here that Horizon was literally at $140 on the peak of the last cycle. If I were just to do some quick calculations here, I mean, this would be an insane move. So this would be 140 divided by, let's just say you got your average cost basis at 8, so maybe slightly higher than the low, 17.5x. Even if I were just to put $1,000 in, I mean, you guys can see the math here. It's absolutely bonkers. So anyways, this is the altcoins that we hold and the technicals on it. I mean, everything's looking pretty cheap. Once again, I'll say that I think that likely we're probably going to have two major pumps on Bitcoin and Ethereum and altcoins separately. So we're probably going to have a double peak cycle like we had with Bitcoin in 2021. So we saw the first peak for Bitcoin, and then the spot Ether ETFs get approved, let's say next month. Ether rips to like 20,000 or 15, 10,000, whatever it's going to be. Altcoins smash up with it. Then maybe it kind of fades like September, October timeframe, because again, that's bearish seasonality. September, October is usually pretty bearish. We have the uncertainty of the Fed rate cuts and the presidential elections. Once that becomes more certain, markets likely rip November, December. Bitcoin goes to all-time highs. And then probably early next year, we see a true alt season where Ethereum and altcoins blast off to their typical 10, 20, 30, 40x's, along with some, monetary easing. So anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.